world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also they're a literal vampire. And suddenly my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
No question about that. It's supported by you, our listeners, through patreon.com/NQATpod or through your Apple podcast feed. Backers get ad-free episodes and an extra bonus show every week talking about something to do with United. And you'll get the paid version of my Substack newsletter, which I do twice a week, analysing United in depth. This is the post-FA Cup pod. United 1, Brighton 2, out of the cup, out of everything. Just got a dismal next few months to look forward to. Daniel, tell me it's going to be better somehow.
I mean, it will probably get better over the next few months, but it's a shit laugh, isn't it, really? I mean, when the draw was made, we knew that if we were a game we usually lose away from the season being over, apart from the struggle for Europe. And there were some good bits in the game, I suppose. Yep. It wasn't a dreadful performance in some ways, but it felt like we could have also lost by more.
I guess Brighton's chances were better. I mean, United out-XG'd them and had more shots and more possession and all of that kind of nonsense. But the story, as always, missed chances going forward when we created them. Didn't take advantage of half chances or the openings we could have done. Poor decisions in the final third, and then defensively a mess for both goals. Have a watch back. They're just horrendous defensively. Any coach would be like, I mean, Darren Fletcher's probably his last game, but if he had to deal with that for much longer, he would be bald very quickly. So the overload was so obvious. I'm screaming at the TV in Brighton's first. I'm like, the overload, watch it. And then 4 players get attracted to the ball, leaving a big empty gap in the middle. And then the second one, Martinez decides for whatever reason, he'd had some kind of stroke or whatever, to run into midfield. Didn't bother getting back into position. Manuel Ugarte jogs. Watch it again. He just jogs. If you're desperate to make a block there, you get there. And he didn't. Both criminal.
And I mean, felt like the goals were sort of a product of very poor out of possession behaviour. How many times, for example, did Brighton's goalkeeper clear the ball with a low pass through the middle of the pitch?
All the time. Yeah.
I mean, every time he plays it, you're like, someone must be there. He's giving it away. No.
Again.
There's no fucker there.
Yeah, I do think it is probably true that you can improve the attack much quicker than you can improve the defence, and I think over a longer piece it's the other way round, right? So Amorim talked when he was in the job of it taking a longer time to get the patterns he wanted in attack, but I think just with intent, right? Just throw more players forward, you can start to look better attacking wise, and we did it at Burnley for that reason, right? And today, I guess 20 shots or whatever it was today. But the structural piece of the out possession is a mess, and I don't think Fletcher could have done much to fix that over the course of a week, basically. No.
I mean, it takes time to do that. I mean, it is probably the case that like his idea of what it looks like might not be what is being done. I don't know. Like it seemed very I'm not no expert. It seemed very man to man, which was one of the reasons there was so much space in the middle of the pitch because we're getting pulled about.
Once you've beaten that press, yeah.
The press was not good. Like just we see it by how quickly how often they passed out of the press into midfield. Mm-hmm. But the rest of defence wasn't good, and it felt like when you're very man to man when you're very man to man off the ball, then if your men get dragged to other parts of the pitch, you end up with a lot of space through the middle. And I thought that was what happened. Yeah. I mean. There was, I guess, if we should have scored very early on when Dalot had that chance. But did anyone really think he was going to score?
Nope, not at any moment.
he scored that one the other day, a couple of weeks ago, whenever it was. But was it Everton? Was it West Ham? But we've seen him in those positions quite a lot now. And I mean, I guess maybe he's got good movement because getting into those, obviously it takes good delivery as well, but getting into those good positions isn't easy. But obviously it's actually just, I'd rather he didn't do it because it's just so anger inducing when he bollocks it up yet again. And
well, part of the system, given how narrow United were in forward area, you had Mount and Cunha supporting Sesko and Bruno at number 10. So it's all very narrow. And so the width had to come from the fullback. So they are pushing forward an awful lot, which also contributed to the gaps on the transition, of course. And so I guess, in Dalot, you've got a really willing player there who's willing to get up and down. He's a good athlete. Same with Dorgu, really. But both of them, the quality in the final third is highly erratic. I mean, Dorgu put an unbelievable cross in for Sesko the other night. I was like, fucking hell, where has that quality come from? But not so much today. Yeah, I don't know. When Mazraoui's back, I'd have him in the side immediately, just because at least you've got someone who uses the ball sensibly. The other question I wanted to ask is Martinez is back, and he's very erratic defensively at the moment. I don't know whether it's because he's still rusty and he had a year out of the game and all of that, but like in every game he's been back now, he's all over the place. His passing is great, of course.
it took him a while to get... If you remember last time he came back from injury, he was sort of just starting to play properly again when he got injured again. It did take him a while, and I guess for the kind of player that he is, he does sort of trend towards the rashness because he's a physical player front foot defender who wants to dive in and make tackles. So I guess it makes some kind of sense that it takes a while to get the timing right. And I mean, it was good to see him properly getting into the box going forward, even though there are only two of them. But at the same time, there are only two of them, and if you're going to go forward, then you need to make sure you recover properly. And I'm not sure that he did that, as you alluded to just before. And the thing about it in the end is that I do think it'll improve between now and the end of the season. And yet the same problem of the lack of midfield that's not solvable. It's insoluble.
As soon as he wanted to make changes, it was. I mean, he took Kobe Mainoo off. I was a little surprised, honestly, given how bad Ugarte was. But Mainoo's not had a lot of game time. Maybe the hour was all he could make. I don't know. Moved Bruno back, and then it was Cunha and Xerxes sort of in those 10 positions after Mount went off, and it's just not quite as productive. So I understand, but there's no options. I mean, God, you'd love to get rid of Ugarte this winter, wouldn't you, and bring someone better in?
Or not, bring anyone in whatsoever, just get rid of Ugarte.
I know. You have to have some kind of cover there, don't you? Because Casemiro can't... Well, he won't have to play any more than once a week from now on. So I suppose there's that.
Yeah, I thought Mainoo actually played quite well.
He did. He uses the ball well, yeah.
If we think about the criticisms that we have of him, one is not being enough involved in the game, not finding the ball. I actually thought he did a pretty good job of that. And then what he also did was he was passing the ball forward, getting involved in tackles. I thought he played quite well.
Yeah. Yeah, he did all right, yeah. I mean, the frustrations with this wasn't that United played terribly or anything like that. And they did have, well, let me count them up now. They did have 19 shots, 60% possession. It's not terrible. It's just the details defensively, as I said, 2 very messy goals. And up front, how many big chances was it? 4 big chances, not taking them. And it's just, yeah, details really matter. And United are being struck by that like every week, basically.
Yeah, I felt like it was an error. I thought Fletcher made an error moving Bruno back. Like at that point of the game, I felt like...
I wouldn't have done that. But,
I felt like Bruno was spent so long too deep to affect anything. And then that sort of means he has to try and find a key pass because otherwise he's giving it to some dickhead that's just going to ruin it. Cunha also was poor.
He was. Unfortunately, didn't do much with it. Yeah, willing runner, but made some bad decisions, ran into blind alleys a lot. That right at the end where Bruno's chasing, was it Russer back? I forget now. He's chasing him, I'm like, don't foul him, don't foul him, don't foul him. He puts in a brilliant tackle, gives it to Cunha, who then fouls the Brighton player. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, just Please use your brains.
And it's funny with these players, and because some of them, I'm starting to think, is Dorgu improving?
I mean, honestly, I think he looks better there because he's still got weaknesses, but it's less exacerbated. I don't think he's that bad a defender. Physically, he's great. He can get up and down, and his biggest weakness is use of the ball in attacking areas, and I guess he does that less in a flat back four.
He is involved in the second goal.
Well, yeah, they all are, really. Yes, but yes, starts with him, doesn't it?
And it's kind of because you're also thinking, well, what are we doing going forward with this team now? And I don't know. And that there are some good strikers. Do you what do you do?
And Mbeumo will make a difference.
And Boomer and Ahmad are both to come back, but are we saying you can only play one of them unless you're not playing Ahmad at right back, are you?
No, not. But he could play. I mean, if Cunha's not going to be productive, he could play off the left of a 4-2-3-1. Couldn't he, Ahmad? It might not be his preferred role. Or through the middle and Bruno off the left. I mean, there are options. Of course, there's not going to be enough football for everyone. What have we got now? 16 games left?
Is this the fewest games in a season United have played since I don't
81,
even know when?
I think. 81, 82.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did we play fewer then? Because there would have been more games in the league.
Oh, that's true. There would have been, yeah. Maybe I'm mixing it up, but it's first time since 81, 82 that United have been knocked out in the first round of both.
Yeah, I would say that this must be the fewest since they invented the League Cup, at least.
Yeah, so it'll be a 40-game season.
I mean, on the one hand, I guess we should say, well, that's a stroke of luck.
We don't have to watch this.
Because who wants any more of this shit? And yet, at the same time, it's frustrating because, and you feel stupid when you say it. When I say it professionally, when I say it to people I'm talking about football with, that you just feel like a bit of an idiot. But you can, at the same time, see that there is sort of something there. That there are some good players there. There's some disappointing ones there. So Euro, for example, has been disappointing so far, ultimately. He hasn't, there have been signs of him being good, but he hasn't been good this season.
He was good for the first, 4 or 5 games until he got dropped. And then he's been dreadful ever since. Yeah, he's got a lot of learning to do. I don't know. I don't feel too... I don't feel too worried about that because I feel like there's enough raw ingredients that he's going to be a very good player eventually. But of course, it might not work out like that. It doesn't always. 19 years old, so there's plenty of time. Same with him and Heaven. I think ultimately we have missed De Ligt. I mean, he might not be the perfect defender, but he does box defending well, right? And then so how do you get enough games into the players that you're hoping are going to improve? Because you sort of feel like, are we going back to Maguire and De Ligt at some point? No, it can't. It can only be one of them. Even in a back four, you need enough passing out of the back, like one of them. And then the other one's Hayden or...
Hayden Evan.
Hayden Evan or Lisandro Martinez. I think that's a balance. And then it's Yoro, De Ligt or Maguire on the other side. I mean, there's too many defenders there, really, for the 2 spots available in the team. But I suspect it's like that, just to get the right kind of balance between having some passing ability and doing the right kind of box defending. I mean, Martinez has been so erratic. I guess, in terms of what he can do, you'd have him in the team, but it's not been there yet. Maybe it never will be. I mean, he's had 2 serious knee injuries, you can take that into account. There should be a balanced team in this, and there should be, given the state of the league, enough to get 60 points will get United a European spot. It might even get a Champions League spot.
This squad should be good enough to finish 5th.
You'd imagine, given what's around them, the prize is there, man.
It's Liverpool and Chelsea and United. You would think 2 of those 3 will finish 4th and 5th.
Right.
And it may be that we end up finishing 7th behind Brentford or whatever. But Brentford are not good. Brentford, Sunderland, is there one more team in that? I can't even remember now. They're not going to finish above Liverpool and Chelsea, I wouldn't have thought. The only team that has the firepower to do it is United. And with Mbeumo back, with Ahmad back, there are options to score goals in any game. Mm-hmm. The problem in this game, and in some respects the problem in the last game, was not defending properly. And how on earth do you sort that out? And
Yeah, I don't think an interim's going to have time to do it. Honestly, I think we're going to.
Well, they got a lot of midweeks.
Goals. They're going to have an awful lot of midweeks, yeah. And like vibes alone isn't going to take United there. I like some of the online narrative around who's going to be next for United in terms of interim coach, I think is incredibly reductive and not very deep, and all of that kind of stuff. But I do agree that it's not just going to be vibes that are enough. There has to be some setup that allows us to get the best out of the flawed nature of this squad. If we can, like Amorim never found the balance between attack and defence in his time. It was 90% extremely conservative and the occasional suicidal attacking performance, but very occasionally. And so what's the balance? If you get Ollie, best of Ollie ball as transitional football, is this squad set up for that? Maybe. Carrick's a bit more prosaic, I think, from what I saw. Well, his 4 games and then his time at Middlesbrough, I think he's a bit more cautious.
He put Bruno on the bench, didn't he, for Villarreal away?
Yeah, that's true. He did. I went back actually thinking it because I was thinking about writing a Substack on Michael Carrick and his attacking stuff, so I did a bunch of research on it, so maybe I'll put that out still.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Yeah, I think the thing about Ole is, if you think about the last time he came in, it was post Mourinho. So no one was trying. It was just totally on its arse. And I think that was one of the reasons it was easy for him to get such a bounce, because the players couldn't have been worse, and they couldn't have been trying less, and they couldn't have been more toxic. And Amorim's United wasn't quite like that.
It definitely wasn't toxic, was it?
No, the players were trying.
Yeah.
But they were just fucking up all the time. So was he. But yeah, it wasn't like that. So I guess it's a bit harder to get a bounce, probably. And let's say you bring in Ole. Vibes, yeah. Like, the vibes aren't that bad. It's not like post-Mourinho vibes, scorched earth, the worst shit that anyone's ever experienced in the history of humanity, till he goes and does the same thing somewhere else.
Yeah, it leaves Ineos, well, I guess it's Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox with a bit of a dilemma. My assumption is that they are leaving it to the summer because they think there's like 10 managers available in the summer to pick from. I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago. God, there was so much content last week, I forget. I think I did 6 pods last week. It was mental. Anyway, they're leaving it to the summer because they think there's a better choice now. Otherwise, they would try and extract one of the coaches from another Premier League team who are running out of contract. There's 3 of them. Or they'd appoint Xavi right now because they could. So I think it's going to be, I assume the interim is because, the interim is because they've got a name in mind for the summer, and it won't be Ollie full time if it is Ollie, unless he wins 16 games on the bounce, and then they're going to be in trouble, of course.
Yeah, but it's one of those things as well, isn't it? That it's just another fucking wasted season, the way that we keep managed to do this.
Over and over and over again.
Empower managers, give them a lot of money, but not enough money to get what they need. Then have to fire them in the middle of the season to waste another season, to then start again at the beginning of the next season for it to be shit, but hint at getting better. And then for it all to come to shit at some point over the next year to 18 months. And round and round we go. Maybe a couple on the way here, maybe a couple on the way here, but...
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? Because we'll have the interim now, and then in the summer we're going to go, oh, well, he needs at least a couple of years to get his team right.
Which is true.
But then we're into 2028.
Right. And at the same time, there are quite a lot of good players in this squad now. Definitely in attackers and some really promising defenders. It's not like when Amorim came and it was like, gosh, we need about 15 players. I don't think that now. Like I'm not sure out of Sesko and Bumo, Cunha, Ahmad, what the best permutation is necessarily, or which of those lot are going to are going to get much better than they are now. But they're all good players at this level. And if you've got all of them, then you've got options, and that should be enough to win most games. Then so if you stick a midfield in there, and that feels like the hard thing, but also the easy thing, because anyone good would make it so much better. We still have to answer the question, can mainly Bruno play in the same midfield, even with the new signing or whoever? But it feels like the malaise that like infiltrates everything at United. It's just like we can have all these conversations, and genuinely, if United bought 3 players in the summer, or 3 first-team players in the summer, midfield player, 2 fullbacks, and they nailed them both, that should take them to be a really good team. But that even if they did it, something wouldn't be right. Like, there's just like a collective fragility on the playing side and a bunch of knobs on the non-playing side. And we'll always be a good manager away from being proper again, because there'll always be enough good money and enough good players, want to come to United at United. So that if you've got a really good manager, then you could really start to attract the best players. And there was like a vibe about it. So United will always be a good manager away from being good. But how do you find that good manager? Because it sort of has to be someone who has to come in and be really good inside 2 years, because otherwise they get fired.
Yeah.
And really, the criticism of United, even in this period, is hanging on to managers for too long, not firing them too readily. There's no one that United have fired, and you've been like, oh, that was an error. Look at what they've done now, or whatever.
It's funny, in the last week, I've had, I don't know how many, it's a lot of people like, are you happy now? You were demanding he was sacked. You got him fired. You're a cunt. And I'm like, at no point in the last 15 months did I even say that. And I was feeling stupid because they're at a 31% win rate. And I'm like, what kind of idiot doesn't say he should be sacked? You know?
Yeah, I think it's both of us on this pod. We both said we didn't think it was going to work under him, but we never were like, he's got to go now. In the way that we had done with other managers, because it still felt like there were still signs of something that could be good. And then he got the injuries and AFCON at the same time. So even though I didn't believe in it, didn't believe in the system, stopped really believing in him as well. It was after Fulham, it was only the second game of the season, where I was like, okay, I've got it. I know what this is now. But it wasn't toxic, and it didn't feel like there was no hope whatsoever of getting better. We never really said he's got to go. It was, I mean, once he spoke after Leeds, it was obvious he had to go, and then he was gone.
Yeah, I mean, and yet, you know, you can kind of feel like with the squad we've got and the potential range of managers that are available, even for interim right now, and the standard of the Premier League, and the fact that there are so many teams that are flawed and taking points off each other, that you can make a very easy case that we'll get some kind of European football, and there will be money because they've restructured the finances to spend on new players, and that, you know, with a couple of midfielders and a couple of fullbacks, will be a strong, consistent top 4 side. And you can go, you know, the pain that has happened over the last 2 years and the disastrous choices that have been made by leadership, there's still that prize in front of us, you know. And maybe that's the dream we've been chasing for 13 years now, and it never quite happens, right? You know, we've reset our expectations from, we just need a little bit more before we're challenging for the title again, to we just need a little bit more until we're back in Europe again, you know, and maybe also, it goes round and round and round, and they fuck the next one up, and we never get back to the point where we think we should be. I mean, it's very possible, right?
How many players did Arsenal buy in the summer? They bought Eze, they bought Hincapié, they bought Mosquera this summer as well. They bought what's his name, Gyökeres. And this is a team that's finished second, 4 years in, or is it 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row now? And
something like that.
United
3 or 4, yeah.
We bought Cunha, we bought Mbeumo, we bought 3 players, and then a goalkeeper when it was the other ones that we had became too obviously shit, so that even United couldn't pretend they were to like not have to spend any money or whatever it was. Look, since this time last year, if City buy Gahey, so it's not an if, but let's say they haven't bought Gahey, they've got that Gahey would complete a team of 11 men worth about 500 million quid. So even without Gahey,
they bought,
it's a team of 10, but including a goalkeeper. In fact, they got 2 keepers. Fucking hell, they got a sub-keeper as well. You're right. You cannot compete. How can you expect to compete with that? And obviously, part of it is the incompetence in appointments, vision, whatever. But a lot of it is also just a bit more prosaic than that. You've got these squads that have been carefully husbanded, like Arsenal City in particular, have been carefully husbanded over a period of years, and they're constantly investing. Why is it the only United is like it's impossible to do lots of deals for players in the summer? Why is it?
Well, part of it is because we can't get enough out. So because there are massive wages.
Some of it is the money. Also, if they were prepared to pay something for Baleba.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember saying on the pod in the summer that the fact that we were sort of thought we could get Baleba was like, obviously, if we've got that amount of money, we'll get a midfield player because if we've got it for him, like, why have we
for
got
another one? Yeah.
Yeah, like, he's not the only, like, what happens if he breaks his leg and gets injured for a year and a half, say? You're still going to then buy a midfield player. You can't possibly tell me that there's no one you could afford who would be better than Baleba, because it's also always the case that we need 2. Because we know Garte's shit and we know Casemiro's like past it and is probably going to go in the summer. And you can't have a situation where you buy one and gets injured and then you're fucked again for another whole season. It must be 2, right? It's just...
And we have to be in the summer, yeah.
So keeping the money for Baleba, just like another like small decision, but it's fucking stupid. Because, I mean, what if Baleba had come and had the season that he's having? Then what? So...
Yeah.
But even then, we talk all these little things, they contribute. It's intangible, but it's like Japanese knotweed or whatever, where it just feels like, how'd you get it out? And we've tried every kind of manager. Right, but can't do that. Like, it's not feasible. Like, you can't necessarily. And also, as I said, they're like the players we keep. The players I'd get rid of, like, I'd happily never clap eyes on Diego Dallo ever again. But of all the players that started today, right, how many of them would I like to not see really play very much ever again? And only really Dallo.
Ugarte and Dallo, yeah.
Ugarte, sorry, yeah, obviously. But the others are at least good enough to be in a squad at United that was good. But collectively, there's just this, like, illness, like the decision making, the sometimes lack of conviction, and obviously there's all sorts of other things going on. So it'll never just be a one thing. I'm just like, otherwise starting to sound like passion. It's not. It isn't that.
Yeah,
it's like an intensity and a conviction that what you're doing is gonna work. It's Roy Keane saying to Patrick Vieira in the tunnel when Arsenal were quite a lot better than us, I'll see you out there, and like being absolutely certain that you fucking will. And this team lacked that, and somehow you keep signing new players who don't have it. And even though if you take the players individually and say, think he has it, no, not really, and somehow, as a collective, it's right there all the time. I've no idea how you get rid of that.
Well, I think it comes from sensible decision making all throughout the club, right? You know, there's the team bit, but the team flows down from the top, doesn't it? Right? What do you have in any kind of organization? Same as in football, you have time, you have resources, and you have decision making, right? So United have got resources, not as much as we used to have relative to our competition because we've fucked it for a decade, right? We've got time. I mean, the club has plenty of time. The manager who comes in has limited time, as we've seen, and the players now get 2 years, apparently, right? And then the rest of it is decision-making, right? Buying the right players last summer, hiring the right guy to be manager that, like, fits with all the other things around the club, and putting in place what we were told would be the best in class. And unfortunately, like, we had a decade of the Glazers and Ed fucking Woodward doing everything they could to make every stupid decision they possibly could. And when the new guys came in, we were told best in class, top-down style, like all these things we were told, walk to the right decision, don't run to the wrong one. And every single one of those statements, the opposite is true, right? They walked to all the wrong decisions. They didn't impose a top-down style, and they did not put best in class in place because we had a first-time CEO and a first-time director of football. Well, technical director now, director of football.
That one's kind of tricky because if you just go, like, who's going to take the director of football from an equivalent club, you can't really do that necessarily. And also then you're sort of taking yesterday's man, which is sort of what I thought when they got Ashworth, actually. Like, he's a name I've heard of, and maybe it was just in the back of my mind that someone had sort of mentally filed under C. Long by that point. But it felt like, is he not someone who was thought to be good before, but he likes Gareth Southgate, so there's probably actually, when I got Ashworth, I thought you should be getting the next guy. So, and I know what you mean. It's not so much for me like not hiring people who are perceived to be the best in the class then as hiring people who turn out to be shit.
Yeah, but then the third thing that goes with all of that is hiring a manager who didn't fit with the squad and not running the logic forward a couple of years and going, well, how many new players is he going to need to make his system work, right? Now we know, 15 months, 63 games later, that he needs a lot of new players to make the squad work.
And that's partly because any manager needed a lot of fucking players. But his particular system, there wasn't even so much the quantity, because I felt like when he came in, how many players here do I want to keep? Martinez, Bruno, Mainu. Can't really think of anyone else I'd have given a fuck if they'd left at that point.
Sure.
Any manager sort of needs everyone. It's more with him, it's just like the specificity of it.
Yeah.
If you then buy him the shit that he needs and it turns out that his system is a dickhead, which you knew, but you've fairly high chance that that's the case, then you're stuck with players that you don't need. And that's presumably why they wouldn't buy many players in January, because they knew that ultimately they were going to have to fire him at some point soon because of the system. To the point, they didn't want to buy players.
Absolutely. That's why we ended up getting to the place we did, and we're fortunate enough that they've gone, well, let's make sure we get players that work in multiple systems. The irony, sad irony, is that we bought Mateus Cunha to be an inside forward in a 3-4-3 type system, like one of the inside number 10s. And we may well end up with a new manager who wants someone to come from wide to in, bit more Mbumo-like, out to in player. And he's not going to be that. So it'll be an interesting question. And we bought Mateus Cunha, moving Bruno out of the number 10 position into a central midfield position, further away from goal, the world's greatest creator, TM. And now we've moved him back, and Mateus Cunha is a bit wider and looks a bit like a fish out of water. And it'll be interesting for the rest of the season exactly where we play those two in order to get the maximum out of them and what it looks like going forward. Because Cunha, who I really like, and I think he's a great player, and I love his intensity, you might go, it doesn't quite fit in a kind of classic 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 system, and we'd have been better spending that £70 million on a central midfielder instead.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Yeah, that's for sure the case. I mean, I think the thing with Cunha is it's squad. So for some games and some game states, you'll want him. And for some others, you might want Amaz.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough.
Those guys who are sort of behind Sesko, now, if they all stay fit,
a lot of options.
They're all going to start on the bench sometimes, probably all of them, unless unless Mbeumo could make himself so undroppable that he became that level of Bruno, which seems probably unlikely between now and the end of the season. Those guys are going to get rotated because there are too many of them and they're all good.
Yeah.
So, and there'll be some times where, I think Cunha's good for games that are stretched. So, and also if you're defending deep and you need getting up the field, so big games, Cunha, I think probably quite useful. Other games, you might want Ahmad. Ahmad, for example, I think is probably the best of that lot in close quarters in the box. So against the low block, Ahmad feels like maybe the one most likely to be able to jink to the byline or to win a penalty or whatever, or to beat a couple of men and then work space that way, or to combine in the way that's how you beat low blocks. So for that kind of game, I might want Ahmad there. And then there's also that aspect of, you've also got centre forwards who you have to feed. So I'd hope we're going to see more. And I thought we would already have seen Mbeumo coming in, shifting it inside and picking him out the back post.
I really thought we'd got a lot of cheap goals that way, and we really haven't, have we?
No. So, because it's when you're thinking about how's the team going to fit together, maybe there'll be some games Sesko doesn't start and you play Mbeumo up front. But I know what you mean in that if you're picking your first team most weeks where everyone's fit, maybe it would be Cunha who didn't quite fit in. But I mean, there won't be plenty of football for everyone this season because there'll not enough football for anyone.
There's not enough football for anyone. But going forward, you now have a very different calculation to make because, there was that whole debate last summer. What do you take the money for Bruno? Because there's two central midfielders. You want two deeply athletic central midfielders because they've got to make up for the fact that they're always outnumbered. That is very unlikely to be the case.
Well, it's 4-3-3 now, isn't it? Yeah, hopefully.
It's likely to be 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. And who in the world would you pick that would do a better job than Bruno, right? And this is it. Like, if he wants to go, or the club decide they need to sell him because we're short of cash, like if we don't qualify for Europe, who's the better option there? There is none, right? And so you'd be in a very interesting position there. And so you now go, well, what do we need in midfield? We don't actually now need two physical monsters. You do need two new players because Casemiro's going, Ugarte will presumably be sold to anyone who will take money, like literally anyone for any amount possible, probably. So you need two, but they don't have to be the same profile as the player that Amorim wanted, probably. Now,
I mean, if Bruno goes, I mean, it's, I guess, you're coming from a much lower level, but like when Ruud left, you had to find goals from somewhere else, and it got better immediately, pretty much.
True.
So,
yeah.
What you would hope would be if Bruno went, that the players he bought would then give you the opportunity to go on a little bit. But I guess I don't think we're going to be allowed to buy Elliot Anderson. He's presumably going to have better offers, you would think. Like, he's got too good. He needs to be got last summer.
Yeah.
Wharton, Anderson, Baleba. The one, I guess, that I really want the most is Wharton, because if you got him controlling games, then that would give you a different option. I don't think you could have Wharton, Mainu and Bruno. I don't think that's a midfield.
It's not.
It might work in some games, but if Bruno were to leave and you had Wharton, Mainu and Anderson, but you're just not getting him. Like someone of a similar profile to Anderson, like physical, strong, can do a bit of everything. That would be quite a good midfield. But then you'd have to get a lot of goals from elsewhere.
And a lot of creation as well. It's not just the goals, it's how you create them.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, you're relying on your forward players to make goals happen, basically.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to work out how it would all fit together. And then you just remember the fucking shambolic nature of everything else. And it feels like a totally redundant conversation.
Yeah.
And yet, if you sign two great midfield players, it would be a good fucking football team.
That's it. The thing is, I'm certainly not going to pretend that I know how to run a football club or that I know how to manage a football team. I don't, right? You put me on the training pitch and go, coach this team, I'd have no fucking clue, right? So that's where my thinking comes from. But I know how to manage organisations of a bigger size than Manchester United, and like the kind of structures you put in place in order to get to good decision making, so you don't have super senior people going, I just think this should happen, and everyone running around and making it happen, right? Which is the tendency in any kind of organization. That's what you need. Like you need to be able to make consistently good decisions within a structure, so that when you have these really big decisions to make, like we've got £200 million in summer of 2026, who do we buy to make this team good? Right? Analytics department, give me this. Data department, scouting department, manager, right?
What if they did that?
What if they did that? What if they actually got through and nailed 3 signings next summer, or 4? Let's say they could do 4.
But then this summer, it's not even that the signings weren't good. Like, I think we can make a case for all of them. It's just that it was just not what was required. Like, not signing a midfield player. It's like, and I hate the fact we just keep coming back to this. Fucking mind-boggling, really.
Dear me.
That is a ridiculous decision. You can sort of see why they did it. We'll sort the attack this year, then we'll sort the midfield next year. But there won't be a next year because you fucked up this year.
No, that's right. And if it's going to take, 3-year cycles to build a good enough team, but you get some of them wrong, and maybe it's 4 years because you just fired another manager. By the time we get to the end of that 4-year cycle, you've got to start replacing some of the players you bought anyway. And that's why we're 13 years into this disaster class of a club.
And that's also part of what City are doing. They just keep buying players. They've got margin for error.
They've got so much margin for error, and we have zero. None. Just none. You just can't have a failure, and unfortunately...
And it's not even almost about failures, let's say. So if you look at Mbeumo, Cunha, what about if they're just good?
They're not good enough.
That basically
not
constitutes
brilliant.
a failure, doesn't it? Yeah. Like you're signing players to compete at this level, and they need to be, at least a few of them need to be proper fucking top world class, right? Mm-hmm. And City can keep going and going and going until they find them, because it's not easy to keep identifying the difference between good enough to play in a high level and sometimes really brilliant to the best. Like picking those up's quite hard to do when you're trying to do it sort of between 17 and 24, rather than Madrid, who are just able to go and pick those players when everyone already knows who they are.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking hard to do.
It is. I mean, City spent £200 million last winter, and then whatever they spent in the summer.
And what's Kusanov done since then? Fuck all, more or less.
Nothing. And they bought players to replace the players they just bought. I mean, the Trafford Donnarumma one's the funniest. 2 games into the season, they replaced the goalkeeper they just replaced.
Who they signed back.
Yeah, and look, who knows with City this will impact Elliot Anderson. If they really are interested in him, maybe he's not interested. If they have if the punishment of their 115 charges is sufficient enough that it sets them back a few years, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a fine. Maybe it's a big points deduction that doesn't relegate them and no one cares, and it's effectively pointless.
And then I think Kenny Anderson's a really good player, but then I thought he was, even like before when he was at Newcastle, I thought he was going to be good. Mm-hmm. But at no point have I watched him and thought, if we get him, then it'll all be okay. And obviously, there's no one player who's like, do you know what I mean? I think I think he'll make us better, but do I think he'll make us that? No. But I don't think he's transcendent.
You know what? We haven't really even talked about the football much. It's funny, this pod has become like that because the overriding issues are always more important than the game. But dearie me.
I mean, the football was...
I suppose it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. We're out of the cup, and it was
the football was okay in parts, but we said already that they out of possession they were crap, which makes it harder to then build a head of steam in possession, and in possession the decisions were poor. You can see some promising stuff. Sesko scored again, missed a couple, but was there to score one, and if he keeps scoring, then you'll be a really good player. And he looks like he's got some ability. And Boomer and Ahmad, we need those fuckers back
as soon as possible.
But not sure how you then configure the team when because they'll be like, what's your team for the derby then?
Well, who's going to be back?
Surely, Matsurawi probably not, but Ahmad and Mbeumo definitely.
And Mbeumo will be back.
And Ahmad. They lost. Cote d'Ivoire lost.
Oh, yeah, of course they're out, yeah. Senegal, Egypt, Nigeria, and Morocco. Right, so we'll have both Ahmad and Bumo back. Yeah, that's right. Mazraoui won't be, so unfortunately we have to have Dalot. Yeah. Before we get on to that, just a little word for what happened with Shea Lacey today. Came on, another cameo, got himself booked for a pretty rash challenge. It was a bit weird because he caught the guy high, but the guy was kneeling on the floor. So
when I saw it, I thought, you've done that on purpose. You're going to get booked for that.
And then the second one was being angry and bouncing the ball away, which, like, most refs, I don't know how many refs would, like, old school, right? I'm going to say, at the risk of sounding okay boomer, in the 90s, player does that, and he's a young player, and he's on a yellow card. The ref goes over and says, cut it out, fella. This is your last chance. Do that again, and you're booked, right? Nowadays, it's kind of specified, isn't it? That's dissent. That's a yellow card. Can't argue. Second yellow card, you're off. But
I mean, I felt like as soon as he did it, I thought he was getting sent off because as a ref, right? You can't go and have a word with him. I don't think, like, if I was a ref, I'm trying to look through it. Like, I haven't seen it. I'm just like I'm like 1,000-yard stare to not have to bother doing it. But how can you complain? Like, we know what the
no, you can't. I'm just saying, like,
and I feel like a twat saying that. Like, I'm trying to like enforce the laws. Like I'm some kind of policeman. Like, it's not that. It's just like he did it. He'd been booked for a silly tackle he didn't need to make. He then has a little tantrum. It's just whatever it happens. I'm annoyed he's not going to be available for the next game. That's it. Like, it's not. I'm not recriminating when I say this, but how can we really criticize that decision?
We can't. I just think, and like the way the rules are specified, you can't. You know, of course, he's going to book him for dissent, and the first one was probably an amber anyway, so not too many complaints. I'm just saying, wouldn't we like some kind of... And I don't know what the balance is, because with VAR, everything has to be fucking binary all the time. And I know there was no VAR in this game, but we've moved to a world in which everything's expected to be binary.
Yeah, that's why I thought the ref could look through it, because there was no VAR. So if he's just like that, you know how that went when you're...
Oh, I didn't see it.
When you're like looking through someone that you don't want to see and you can't put your head down because it's too late and you just do it. Like, the ref does that with no VAR. But the ref is also presumably thinking, I don't want to get any flack for this. But he wouldn't have got any. No one would have given a fuck.
And no one would have given a shit about, like, not sending off.
Tried to, like, swivel his head slightly out the road.
Anyway, back to City. You like, what is the team? Let's construct it now. Like, we've got... It's basically today plus Ahmad and Bumo, isn't it? Like, assuming Mazraoui's not back because he'll have a third place playoff anyway.
Yeah, he's not back, yeah.
Sadly, Dalot is going to be at right back because there's no other options. I mean, a Tuballard would be better.
You could play Dorgu there.
You could right back.
And play Shaw on the left.
And Shaw on the left, yeah. I'd go with some... I mean, Lamon's in goal. It's fine. He made one screw-up today where he tried to pass out.
Yeah, he did. But he did well to make the save, in fairness, subsequently. Although he got lucky, but he was given the opportunity to make the save. I just, like, I don't want to see Dalot again, really. Like, I think it feels like it's too soon. I know, like, he's not, like, an arsehole. I feel bad digging him out, but there's just something about him that I find vexing.
Oh, it's so infuriating. Yeah. Yeah, he tries hard. He says the right things. And then 7 out of 10 decisions that he makes on the pitch are the wrong ones. So I'm so sick of him. As a footballer. But unfortunately, it's going to be him, isn't it? So unless you want out of position.
No, it will be him. It will be him. I mean...
Lamons and Dalot and Shaw at left back. And then who are your two central defenders? Heaven plus...
Heaven and Martinez, I guess.
Yes, Martinez making screw up after screw up. But I guess he has to be, because otherwise it's Maguire cold.
Or is it Heavens and Harrons?
It could be Heaven and Harrons.
I mean, I don't really want Heaven and Harrons very much. Again, it's Haaland, but then I mean, Martinez defended well in the cup final and badly on other occasions. I think I'd go Martinez and Heaven, but not with a huge deal of conviction.
And then Casemiro and Mainu as your central midfielders, with Bruno ahead of them?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I mean, it'd be an interesting test. I think away he might find it harder to do that, but at home maybe he'll do that. And then Mbumo and Ahmad
and Bruno
behind Sesko.
Behind Sesko, yeah.
I mean, who plays on the left? I mean,
it's Cunha or Ahmad, and the Cunha doesn't want to give any width, which is the challenge in this system, right? He's always narrow.
So Ahmad, I want in the box, but I don't want Ahmad on the touchline. I'd prefer to have Mbumo keeping the width and coming in field than Ahmad. I want Ahmad further in field, but then you don't have really the fullbacks to facilitate that, obviously. But yeah, are we dropping Cunha?
I don't want to, but it's trying to find the balance, really. Although
we've got a few players of similar ability. We know they're all good. We're not sure which of those, if any of them, can be really good or what the best blend is. So
yeah,
we're kind of guessing here and just punishing Cunha for playing out his RCS today, which feels a bit reactive because he was all right in the game before.
Sure thing. And I mean, Ahmad's best performances have not come off the left. The cutting inside to create is where he's best. But yeah, I mean, potentially so. And I'd like to see Sesko play as often as possible. He just has to get a rhythm, and maybe we'll see more goals from him than we have last couple of games. So I guess the big question is, who's the manager going to be?
Fuck knows. And I just and it's sort of at the point where I've said before, of the three, I'm most interested to see what Fletcher does. Part of me is like, do I feel it's going to make any fucking difference whatsoever? I mean, don't know. There's possibly not, because it's about the play. I mean, I suppose it'll probably be Ole. If I was making the decision, he's probably the safest of the three options. And given that it only needs to be safe, it just needs to not be disastrous, really, for them. If it's not disastrous, we'll finish at least in the Europa League.
Yeah, 21 games, 32 points. What's that points per game? Let me do the quick calculation. 31. What did I say?
It's about 0.6 or so. I mean, I'm not very good at maths or this.
It's 32 points divided by 21. It's 1.52.
Yeah, exactly.
Times 38 gives you a 57-point season as it stands. That's after a pretty AFCON period has been pretty bad for United. It's a lot of points dropped.
Problem being the games get harder.
Yeah, we got Arsenal and City next, City and Arsenal next. And I mean, anything out of those two is a bonus.
Yeah, of course. Out of that, and suddenly Europe looks a bit more of a struggle.
Absolutely, yeah. And you start running out of time as well with the amount of games to come. Although after City and Arsenal, it doesn't look horrendous, to be fair. Fulham, Spurs, West Ham, Everton, Palace. I mean, the problem is we are shite as well, yeah.
As well, you're right. Yeah, 100%. If you could just get the attack and creation working well, we should win most of the games. The problem is obviously also the finishing, but we are creating chances, I suppose. It's not, as I said, it's not totally despicable. It felt, okay, so what I would say about Amorim's team is probably they were the least cunting at the point of him getting fired than all the others.
Yes, true.
I don't fucking despise these players really yet. I don't despise them as a unit. And it's not I can't bear to watch you. I'm still sort of watching them, hoping that it might be good sometimes. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they weren't, yeah, I mean, it's the least, it's not as, because usually the manager gets fired after a terrible run. And that wasn't exactly the case with Henry. He talked himself into it after a crap run, but not with defeats. It was just draws against crap teams. I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't like getting battered by that game against Everton or Watford under Ole.
Watford under Ole, yeah. Yeah, there were a few before that as well. All right, I guess we'll leave it there. We'll be back in the week to discuss the new manager or new interim or the second interim. What do we call him? If Fletcher's interim, what's the next guy? Interim 2.0? Interim.
What a football club. And how many times have we had to do this in the last, we had to do it with
Giggsy,
Uncle Ralph,
Ole, Carrick, Rude, Ole. It's quite a few. Yeah. Why don't we just hold a lottery and just whoever wins? Go on then, you do it.
I mean, it's just when you think about where you go next, it's like the problem again that you have is that all the candidates that you might consider, they're all totally different, right?
That's it. Well, that comes back to the decision making, right? What do they want? Because they said top-down style, and then they picked Amorim because they threw that out the window on November the 1st, right? So what do they want?
Because and then you could look at it and say that was like a decision they had. They needed a manager, and they felt that he was the best that they could get. And it wasn't like they had loads of amazing 4-3-3 young, charismatic, proven managers available to them who they could have gone for instead of Amorim. And I feel I didn't want to defend them, but that who could they have gone and got who we would be sure would have made it better? Thomas Frank is fucking floundering.
Yep.
Tuchel knocked us back. Dickhead at Marseille knocked us back. Of the people that are available now, or might be available in the summer, no one wasn't available. We don't know. Like Pochettino, yeah, we could maybe finally get a Pochettino, but that would feel a bit like hiring the day before yesterday's man.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see why they went for Amorim, because he was probably quite compelling and he was trying to get the next guy. And so you might have these grand philosophies about how you want shit to work, but practicality is a bitch, right? And if that gets in your face, then they took a decision that they felt was the best decision to take at the time. We can go, well, they're not expert enough to make that decision, and that'd be right. But at the same time, we can look at all the other options that would have presented themselves to people more able to make the right decision. And in brackets, who are they, by the way? Who would we have got? Don't know. But let's say these people existed. They might have picked a guy who was also shit.
Great. On that cheery note, we're going to say goodbye. It's shit, but it could have also been shit. Very good. Patreon.com/NQATpod. I promise I will do a bonus pod shortly. It's been a hectic few days, so I haven't got around to that. YouTube, if you haven't seen, I did post a little video, very short video, saying I'm just going to have a rethink about how we do our YouTube channel, so not uploading the videos for the moment, and we'll try and work out what the hell we're doing there. But catch us on all the audio apps, wherever you do. Subscribe so you don't have to come back and you can hear more of us moaning about how United are so crap every week with the occasional victory. Hey, Dan, maybe we'll go ahead and beat City next weekend and everything will be right with the world. Wouldn't that be good?
It's possible, because we've seen worse United teams beat better City teams than this.
Absolutely. And if that isn't a cheery note, what is? All right. Bye now.
Cowards.